Hi, Facebook world, Up With People world. Just was saying that I almost always say good morning because it's almost always morning for me in Tucson. I'm Donna Reed. I traveled in 1976 in Up With People, and my guest today is Hilde. And Hilde is a referral from a referral from a referral about who knows who, so I don't know anything about her. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Why don't you tell everybody your full name and then and where you live, and do you have the same name as when you traveled?
Yeah, I will tell you. I have a long full name, so I will not do the whole, but Hilde Severinsen Sandnes. So when I traveled in C91, I was named Hilde Severinsen, and then I married Sandnes. Eirik, who's also an alumni traveling in E88. Yeah, and we live in Bergen, Norway.
That's right. And did you two know each other before you traveled?
Not really. We sort of saw each other at some gatherings that an alumni had, but no, we didn't know each other. We actually ended up staying in the same host family in Trail, BC. Of course, him before me, and we.
That's weird.
Of course, that's very weird, and we had very different tours. So it's kind of funny that that one city was the only same city, and we ended up in the same host family. And she was a Descent of Norway lady.
Okay. So did she ask for a Norwegian then to stay with her? And that's
Norwegians, yes.
Okay, because I thought, what are the chances otherwise?
I know.
So when that host told you who she had housed, did it mean anything to you at that point?
No, not really. But it was funny because it was a very, very long travel day, all the way from sort of the Vancouver side into Trail, BC, which was in the next, I guess,
province.
Yeah. And I was very tired when I got there, and I got into the house that was like coming into a Norwegian souvenir store, very, very Norwegian. And I think it was like 2 in the morning or something, and she wanted to show me all these videos from her visits to Bergen, which was very sweet, but I was very tired, and so she showed me a lot of videos from her visiting my husband.
That's
in his travel and my travel. So yeah,
that is so funny. I put a post on the alumni page the other day about, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything. And part of it was I was thinking about when you went into a host family, we just were pretty nice, right? I mean, you just did what they wanted, even if you were super tired. You just go, I'm exhausted, leave me alone.
Please show me a 3-hour video traveling.
where I came from.
Yeah. But they were very, very nice, and they visited us sometimes after we got married. And of
that's
course,
very cool.
The whole blame for our marriage, and maybe they are right.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's funny. So 1991, was there a name for that show? I never can remember the names of the shows.
Rhythm of the World.
Rhythm of the World. Okay. And did you travel more than 1 year, or did you just travel the 1 year? No,
only the 1 year. Yeah.
Okay. And so were you from Bergen, or were you from somewhere else? Okay, you were. All right. And did you ever live anywhere else, or did you go back home after Up With People and you kind of stayed where you grew up?
Yeah, I did. I did stay in the States 1 year before I traveled Up With People as an exchange student. So I lived in Virginia for 1 year. But after Up With People, no, I stayed in Bergen and studied in Bergen. Yeah.
Okay. And so where did you see a show, or how did you learn about Up With People?
I saw a show in Bergen. And they came to our school and had a presentation. And then it kind of rang a bell because I was attending show choir in Virginia. I don't know what I was doing there, but my whole sister was there, so I joined. And one of the teachers had traveled Up With People, so I remember her talking about that. So I went to see a show.
Oh, that's cool. So do you remember that teacher's name?
No, I don't.
No. But that's cool. One of my castmates taught music in Wisconsin until she retired just a year or so ago. And I just wonder how many, because there were, they would now and then do Godskin. They would sing some of the songs, from the
yeah,
shows that made
yeah,
sense for kids. She
yeah,
did elementary, so they were younger kids, but
yeah.
even so,
Well,
that's,
the teacher's name was Miss Holly, but this one was just coming in to choreography.
oh, okay. Okay, for the choreography.
Now that word is slipping. For one or so. So we didn't have her all year. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
But I did sing Up With People songs before I traveled because I went to Tensing, which is a choir here, that was started up in Bergen as an
Okay.
inspiration after Sing Out. So
Ah,
had some reunion, so some anniversary, I don't know, 25 years or so. And then we sang Godskin and Up With People and Showboat.
Showboat. Oh, you learned an old one.
Yeah. So it was kind of funny to come to Up With People and hear
Yeah.
yeah.
You know what though, because of your age and being younger, the fact that you even had the chance to know some of those older songs is cool, because there's a whole generation of people even talking about the founders and everything. So I was a 70s traveler, but my son traveled in 2013, and your daughter, you said, traveled, right?
Yeah.
In
B19, A20. Yeah.
Okay. And so if you didn't have the history, they wouldn't have the history, right?
And we have always been listening to Up With People music, especially when we drive to the cabin,
Yeah.
half-hour drive. And so we all know all the songs, and we not argue, but we discuss what song is the best, and
So that's usually one of the questions. So since you brought that up, I because I have been very honest about songs that I dislike, and Paul Caldwell has reminded me they can't all be hits. But
yeah.
So tell me what songs you really like.
I like a lot of songs, but from our show, I think you always have that grand ending, with Coming Home. I really like that song.
That's a great song.
Yeah. And then I like all these classics, of course, are very nice.
Yeah.
With the Unfinished World, very much.
That's that's relevant today.
Yeah,
again,
I use that
right?
sometimes when I have been traveling and working. And then, but my favorite maybe in lyrics or the text is the 1-2-1, I think. Yeah, there are many good ones, but I think we sometimes have to remember that it's about us. It's about what we can do with what we have, where we are. And it's not always, there are so many brilliant people in the world, but if we had more everyday heroes that just did something, it would be.
Hilde, that's the reason I started this, because I feel like there are those that we all know. There are those who have done grand things that the whole world knows. There are singers who are super famous, and then there are a ton of singers who aren't, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But those singers might have affected the lives of the people in their town, or we don't know. And it's truly kind of out of the everyday hero thought process that I wanted to start doing this, because it is the one-to-one thing. You touch one life, and yeah. So in your daughter's show, what does your daughter say, like, is something that she really liked?
About songs?
Yeah.
I think they sang Does It Really Matter? And they sang This From the Greatest Showman, This Is Me. And they sang This Crossroads.
I don't know that one.
About refugees. So she said she says she cried on stage all the time.
Super happy.
But she was very touched by me. And I thought we were lucky enough. Luckily, we went to see them a lot when they were B19. We had big plans for the whole family to go in when they came to Europe, but then ended because of COVID, of course. But we did see them 2 times in the fall.
Okay, so because now you've mentioned Europe, so the reason that your name was given to me is because you and your husband are coordinating the EAM, know?
Yeah.
And have you been involved in that through the years, the European Alumni Association? Or?
Yeah, the last years we have traveled to the EAMs, but Norwegian alumni, we don't have an active alumni club. So it's basically the two of us, and then also we asked two more alumni if they can help out.
Okay.
And they luckily said yes. But what we have done now, we actually registered. I haven't told anyone this, but we registered an alumni club or association here in Bergen because I don't know if also because it's if voices comes, if we want to try to gather more alumni together from Norway, why shouldn't we? We should do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and maybe we can try to get a cast coming when it starts up again, and then it's good to have an association. So we just started one, so that's done.
Nice. So do you think that do you have any idea how many alumni there are from Bergen versus other places, or?
I think there are quite a few, but like when we are not active, we don't really know, right?
Right.
So I guess there would be 10, 12, 15 maybe over the years. So we have to start digging.
Yeah. Yeah.
But of course we can include from other places too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I told you when you and I first chatted that one of my son's best friends is from Norway.
Yeah.
And interesting because my son was older. He was 26 and I think this kid was 18. But they just had a lot in common and they became super good friends. And I think his name is Andreas, and I think he's coming for Caleb's wedding this year, you know. And because I was a bicentennial traveler, we just didn't have near the international group. I came after that, towards the end of 1976, after they had been doing all these places in the United States, but not as many in other countries. So we didn't, I think I had 10 non-Americans in my cast out of 100 and something. Yeah. So it was very different. So what have you done for a living? What have you and your husband done for a living while you've been in Bergen?
Yeah, when I came home, I went to university and became a teacher, and then I worked as a teacher for 9-10 years. We had two kids. That's the most important thing. They are 23 and 26 now. And then I got involved in this humanitarian organization, a small local organization in Bergen that worked for very well HIV infected children, actually, in Romania at first. And then we work with very poor children in Romania, and also since 2007 we have worked with children with disabilities in northern Uganda. Rehabilitation center there. So we rehabilitate around 200 children a year in northern Uganda.
Wow.
In a holistic way, with education and with, of course, physical rehabilitation, trauma therapy, psychological health. Parents are trained, a lot of advocacy work. And in Romania, we work with children from a very poor region and that are very much at risk and for being deprived of their rights, especially for education. So since 2007, that has been my job, to lead this organization in Norway.
Oh, how did those two countries, how did those two things evolve in Norway?
You know, after the revolution there was a lot of revolutions coming in Europe, right?
There were,
and Romania was a very closed country. Of course, Ceausescu was a dictator that the West liked, because apparently he was open to the West and people were invited and they saw a theater, right? So when he was killed he was shot on Christmas Day in 1989, I guess.
Okay.
And then things opened up and people saw what had taken place, and a lot of children was found in orphanages, and these pictures were all over. So
yes, yeah, I remember.
Yeah. And because of that, there was a big engagement from our city by the firefighters, actually.
Oh.
And they went down to Romania with a lot of equipment. So an engagement started in Bergen at that time. That sort of also the organization I work for also went into that, started to do a work in Romania together with other people from our city. And then we also cooperated with a hospital because we work with HIV infected children. So we got equipment from our university hospital here and sent to Romania, to this hospital there. And then the university hospital here had an engagement in northern Uganda that they asked us to sort of
connections. Yeah.
So that's how we ended up in those two.
Yeah, because it's not like they're side by side, right?
No, it's not. So it's a question we are asked often.
Yeah. So first of all, did I ask your husband's first name? What's his name?
Eirik, like Eric, but
Eric.
Yeah.
How do you spell it?
EIRIK.
EIRIK. That is super hard to say.
He can come and say hello. He just
yeah, you should have him come say. So my little brother is Eric, and our roots are Swedish. But I think I also told you that the Vikings were all mixed up back in the day. So I'm sure we have some
we were mixed with everyone, I think.
Yeah. And my brother Eric did a little bit of research one time, and some relative in Iowa, and went back to like the 1500s. And there was somebody named Eric Bloodaxe who like murdered his whole family so that he could be the king, whatever. And I'm like, wow, that's fun to find out,
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, there was some violence going on here back in the day.
There was violence going on everywhere. It still clearly we haven't learned so much. So
absolutely.
So thinking about Up With People and how it affected your life, and I think about what you do now, because clearly you're giving back to the world in a job that you have chosen, right? Mm-hmm. So what kind of influence do you think that Up With People maybe had on your life in some of your decisions that you've made?
I think maybe as the years have gone by, you realize more and more what an influence Up With People did have and still has. I think in the beginning, coming from Norway, and we are a bit reserved, and we are not supposed to stand out and all of that.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, it was hard to find your place in a way. And I think maybe the most important thing you learned, like about myself, was self-confirmation, that you cannot wait for others to say that you're good enough to do this, or you're good enough.
That's a great thought.
You have to sort of start looking in the mirror and tell yourself that, you can do, I can do this. Yeah, I can do this. Or we can do this together. That's even more important.
Right.
So I think, and I remember when my daughter was going to travel, I told her that you need to take your space, because nobody's going to give it to you. And she was very shy when she left home, and she was a different girl when she came back. And I think that's an important thing, maybe for Europeans and also for people from Asia that are different with
different culture. Yep.
Way, and we need to sort of take that. And other than that, I think just being exposed is extremely important. Just meeting people that are different from you in any way. And to learn to see people, listen to people, and accept that, even though, like being a Norwegian, we learn all the time that we are on top of the world because we are.
Literally, you are on top of the world.
But in so many tests, you know, we have a very well-functioning society.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that we haven't lost something or that there are not things that we could be better on. I learned so much from the people of northern Uganda, for instance, that have been through 20 years of war. And I mean, I talked to former child soldiers, and those are also with us. And I learned so much. And I think that being exposed and what other people did with us being exposed to so many things makes us just stronger and more resilient, more content, I guess, with what we have and where we are. And I think that you also can see that with the connection we have with other people now. We lost connection for many years, but with Facebook and everything, it's easy to get in contact again, and you really feel at home with that group of people because you can be yourself at all times. Yeah.
I don't know if you had a chance to watch the interview with Seema that I did, but
I did.
When oh, good, that's good. When she and I, sometime in one of our conversations, we were talking about how many alumni come, and I don't remember if this was recorded, how many alumni come from colleges every year, from the big colleges here in the country, you know, 5,000 people. So globally, having less than 23,000 alumni, it's not a big number, but there's no college that has 23,000 alumni that all go, yeah, you can stay at my house. You know, that you can, sure, you're going to be in town, let's go to dinner, or you know, whatever. Things like that. And that was kind of an interesting perspective too on who we are. And I've let people stay here because of up with people that I've never met. And it doesn't mean that they all take good care of things. And it doesn't mean that we're all this, you know, I mean, we still live differently, but yeah, I think that there is something to be said for that. Remind me, I got to remember afterwards. I think I told you that I have clients that own a condo here who are from Bergen. And she's originally from California, an Italian from California who met her husband working on a cruise ship. And she's been a teacher there for like 25 or 30. So they'll be here in July because that's when she gets, you know, her time. So they'll be here in Tucson. But I got to give you her name. Maybe you guys, you know, could meet and say hi. That would be super fun. Yeah, so tell everyone about what's planned for the EAM. And for those who don't have any idea whether the Europeans just work differently than we Americans. We do this whole state thing or city thing or whatever. Tell everybody kind of what's going to happen in May.
The EAM is kind of an informal meeting place for all alumni who wants to come. And originally, I guess, before I started going, it was a meeting to plan for the European upper people setting, right? Alumni groups or whatever.
Sponsors, maybe things. Yeah.
Yeah, and still it's a discussion, and we have some meetings where we discuss what will the alumni organization, or it's not a formal organization in Europe, but how will the work of alumni be done in Europe in order to keep alumni connected, and also how will the link to upper people be? So that will be, but more than that, if I am to be honest, I don't know if I should, but I will. People come to meet and party and talk and have fun and catch up. And I think that that's the most important thing we do, right? And out of it comes a lot of good ideas and a lot of good processes. So in Bergen, we celebrate our national holiday on the 17th of May. So the sort of the EAM weekend is from 19th to 21st. We have urged people to come for the 17th and stay for those days so that they can celebrate the National Day with us. And it is a special celebration, unlike in any other countries. So now,
what does that mean? Wait. So tell me what that means. What makes it different? What do you? Because I know that the Swedes do that little frog dance around a pole. On the What makes it special?
We start very early in the morning. Sometimes climbing a mountain to be up by pulling up the flag at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
And then there's just a lot of focus on children.
Ah,
Schools are in parades with marching bands, with little children, kindergartens, students. So it's just a lot of national costumes in all shapes and sizes, and a lot of happy
fun.
children parading. There is no military, there is no showing anything but our future with the children. So I think and a lot of fun things and concerts and fireworks and all of this. So people are
Fun.
really going out in the streets to celebrate. Yeah. So
Nice.
that's what we do with the group coming, and I think we are around 75, 80 people coming for 17th of May.
That's great.
So we will spend the day in town, and then we will spend the afternoon at our house. And we thought it would be coming maybe 30, 40 people, but now we will be 70 at our house. And that will be
You're going to hope that it's really nice weather.
Exactly. Started praying already. Yeah, no, it's we will put up a tent and it will be fine. You know, people would just have to be everywhere.
Oh,
And then
fun.
we will, you know, the coast of Norway is very, very long. It goes more than one time around. So we will also visit a gin and whiskey and aquavita distillery out on one of the islands. And it's a group of women who have invested in this. So only female investors have taken a chance out on a small island. And so we will do the tasting, and we will have like also a tour, and they will say something about the coastal culture and the coastal woman.
Ooh, that's neat. Yeah.
Yeah, and women investors and all of that. And then we will also have our meeting set on a well, people will come Friday. We will have the opening on one of the iconic mountains that overlooks the whole city and the sea out to the ocean, Mount Flyen. And then we will eat at the harbor in the evening. And in the morning of the Saturday, we will take a fjord cruise. So we will have the meeting on the boat.
I so wish I could come.
Yeah, and then we will have a party at the hotel in the evening. Yeah.
Fun. Oh man,
nice.
I told you I so wish I could come. I've got to get back. I've only spent a couple days in Norway or in Oslo. I've never been, you know, and we went out on a boat and stuff there a little bit, but that was because of my son's relationships with people there, you know. So yeah, I think I told you I'm gonna try to get to Limerick next spring. Put it so that at least I can participate in that. So all right, so we've just got a few minutes, and one of the things that I like to ask people is, if you ever ate anything while you were traveling that you'd never eaten before that you love, or did you eat something that you ate and you thought, oh my God, I will never eat this again? You know, tell me about that.
We got some fresh oysters one time, straight from the sea, and that was the consistency, you know, no, terrible.
It is. Well, people either really like them or don't because of the consistency. Yeah.
And my husband, he got some ox balls. Eirik,
tell him to come look in and say hi. I'm moving over to make room for him.
Eirik, kommer du här lite? I think we had some, they were in New Zealand and Australia, imagine. Okay. So I think they ate some ox balls or something.
Calf fries.
Calf
fries.
Rocky Mountain oysters.
Yeah.
Oh, you ate testicles.
In Hereford, Texas.
Oh, it was in Texas. I remember.
We served the cast. I was doing PR there, and we served the cast that when they got in, and we didn't tell them what it was.
Oh no, I always think so. There's an alumni who does a TV series called Naked and Afraid, where they just drop people off and then they and then they eat the bugs and they do and I thought first of all, I wouldn't even try to be on the show. And then I would probably lose the first day because there's just certain things.
Same with me. Yeah. But I have eaten ants too, but that was in Uganda, fried ants like this. And that
did you have to close your eyes?
Yeah, I closed my eyes and I jumped up and down until I got it down. And I said, I will never, ever do this again, because you could feel the body parts, you know, when it, but I can eat it as a paste. They make it as a paste too. And then
So
it's-
if we grind things up enough and we put them in smoothies or
Yeah.
something, then they're
Yeah. then it's fine.
Blender
gonna-
fix everything.
I can't believe it. Oh, that's so funny. So the worst thing that someone told me they ate was when they were in China, the 1,000-year-old eggs that they have. And all I could think, because Easter just has gone by here, and you know, tradition is that we hide eggs, you know, and there was a time where at my house where I grew up, we had the old pump outside for the water, and my dad had put an egg kind of around that pump. I think like 2 years later, we smelled it. You know, we never found the egg.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I can't imagine having a
No.
delicacy be like a 1,000-year-old egg or something like that. So anyway, so I hope we get to meet one day. I'm going to introduce you to my friend that lives there. I will do some sort of an online introduction. I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
I wish you all the best with the EAM. Congrats with taking it on. And I hope your party is a huge success and that everybody's safe, because I know how people drink at these things.
And the house still stands afterwards. Yeah.
Yes.
It will be
You have a totally white wall behind you. You could you have room for people to write their names on the wall that they visit.
It's a fireplace. I think it's
Yeah.
a fireplace.
So, and I will let you know when I make this live. I've got a couple others that I've recorded, but I'll make sure that I let you know. And is there any parting words that you would like to share? Or Eric, whose name I can't say, Eric.
Yeah. No, it's still room at the EAM.
Okay.
So if people want to join up until 25th. But for me, it's more like if I have words of wisdom, for me, it's important to always think, like I said, do what you can and where you are with what you have. You're good enough to be a positive change maker.
I love that. I love that, because it comes from here, right? Has to start with us. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. I'm glad you came home from work, Eric. And then I got to say hi to you too. And I'm gonna stop the recording. And so thank you.
Bye, everyone.